Hi, nobodies. It's later in the day, and I'm still feeling jazzed. I'm so manic. Yay! I don't know. I still don't know how I feel about feeling. But anyway, the whole purpose of this was okay, for those of you who are not watching me, if you don't know, I am Muslim. I am not devout. Bacon tastes good. If I would not eat bacon if I grew up where bacon wasn't served. But I love bacon and ham. I really do. I'm a Southern girl. I grew up on that. And I thank God, because I call all of God. I've never really gotten into the habit. I mean, I can say all the stuff that's got Allah in it, the Assalamu alaikum and Mashallah, Inshallah, I do all that because those are phrases that you use in Islam. And so I do all that. But I think that God will forgive me because I don't think it's really a sin. And I don't wear the hijab because I do live in the South, and people, not everybody here is ignorant, but a lot of people are ignorant. I mean, since 9/11 happened, people have gotten just so ignorant, and it's like, Muslims have lived amongst you for a long time, and the only problem you had was their race or where they came from. But nobody really cared. I mean, they might call them ragheads or whatever, but Muslims in America until 9/11, were not treated too badly, really. Um, so in the South, you know, it's kind of a thing, But it's kind of weird because when I did wear the hijab, I was amazed at the people who would just come talk to me. Maybe it's because I wasn't invisible at the time. I mean, I often feel invisible. And I've been reading The Secret, and it says, like, what you put out into the universe is what you get back, like a law of attraction thing. So maybe once I put on the hijab, I was like wanting these people to talk to me. And I had a lot of really good conversations with little old Christian ladies, and none of them ever said, have you been to the church? None of them ever tried to convert me, and as I chose my faith, for those of you who don't know, I grew up in a Christian household. Now, we were not devout, which is, I guess, why I'm not devout now, um, because I don't think that you should have to do everything because they say, oh, well, you're Pentecostal, so you can't wear jewelry. You can't cut your hair. You can't wear pants. It's like, does that really hurt God? You know, I mean, the main thing with Muslims and dress, the hijab is basically just showing that you are, um, what's the word? Demure? No, you're covered. You're covered. Like, you're not out there showing your ass. You're conservatively dressed, because I mean, even with the hijab, for the most part, they make sure that they're wearing something that covers up their bottom, a tunic that goes past the butt, loose fitting clothes. It's about modesty. The hijab is about modesty. So basically, the main thing is that they want you to dress modestly. And I think every religion would want the women to dress modestly, um, to show say I'm modest. I'm not gonna show everybody my wares. Um, I will talk to men, because in the Muslim faith, women talking to men is frowned upon. But I figure I'm American. I can talk to whoever the fuck I want, and I can say that word because I'm American. And I know a lot of Christians who cuss. I ain't worried about going to hell for that. Now, as a Muslim, I can say I've known quite a few Muslims, and you know what? A lot of people think they don't know the Bible. A lot of Muslims have read the Bible. it is a holy book. It may not be the main book, like they don't memorize it or anything. They memorize the Quran because the Quran is the main teachings of it. They recognize the Bible as a holy book. So, and that's in a person who reads it. Now, I would suggest, if you haven't read the Bible, read the Bible. If you haven't read the Quran, read the Quran. It doesn't hurt, you know? I mean, sometimes depending on what translation you get, like with the Bible, some of it, depending on which Bible you pick up, it can be kind of hard to read. It's boring, or it's translated different. There's different translations. The Quran is the same way. Some of the translations, somebody will try to translate it like word for word, or whatever, and some things just don't translate. You got to remember the Bible is a translation of a translation. And I think of a translation of a translation of a translation. Like I think it was Aramaic, then it was Hebrew, then it was Greek, and then it was English. And, a lot gets lost in translation. But I would never say that a person shouldn't read the Bible. I would suggest that to anybody. Read it. What gets me is when people want to push me to disavow Islam. They're like, no, you need to come back to Christianity because you're wrong. Your religion is wrong. Your book is wrong. And it's like, well, have you read it? No, I haven't read it. I don't need to read it. It's wrong. Well, don't tell me it's wrong until you've read it. Don't judge a whole religion on people. I don't judge I don't judge Christianity on a single person, or a church of people, or a sect, like Pentecostal or Catholic or whatever. I don't judge them. I judge the person, each individual person. And how do I judge them? I say they're nice or they're not nice. And I have to actually know them or talk to them to judge whether they are nice or not nice. But I have never, and I've been a Muslim for 10 years now. I have never ever told somebody that they need to disavow Christianity. I have never maligned somebody's faith in Christianity or Judaism or atheism, or whatever, because we all get to peace in a different way. Because ultimately that's what we're all searching for, is peace and answers, and something that makes sense, that makes us feel good. And just as every person is different, what they find peace in is different. I mean, think about drug addicts. Crackheads like crack, heroin addicts like heroin. They might do other drugs, but for the most part, they've got a drug of choice. Most people are like, this is what I do. This is my drug of choice. It's the same with religion. Like me, I never tried heroin, but I think I would have liked it. I think I would have had a problem. Crystal meth, crack, fuck that shit. I'm like, I don't want to be awake. I want to be asleep. I want to be like, I'm all jelly. I'm going to go to sleep, or I'm just chilling and I got my music, just chill music. And I want to feel that way. I don't want to feel like I'm at a Slipknot concert for hours on end at like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. Not that I don't love Slipknot. I do love Slipknot. But what I'm saying is I don't want to be that kind of just fueled. And it's the same with religion. What works for one person will not work for another. It just, that's why there's so many, because if one size fit all, then everybody would have come to the same conclusion at the same time. I mean, they all would get along. But I have never tried to convert somebody. I mean, if I came across a person who said, hey, I'm just feeling lost, and I've been to church and I've been praying, and I don't know what is wrong in my life. I can't figure out where I need to be. If they said all that to me, I might say, well, hey, come to masjid one time. Just come check it out. You know? And if they didn't like it, fine. It wasn't their cup of tea. I'm not going to sit there and go, you got to keep coming. No. I'm like, when you find what brings you peace, it's not going to be the second time you go. It's going to be the first time you go. And then it's just going to continue. So if that's not their path, if I say, okay, well, you didn't like the masjid, you've been to the churches. Have you been to this kind of church, that kind of church? Have you been to temple? Have you checked out Buddhism? I mean, I'm going to give them all kinds of ideas as to, where they might find their peace. I might start talking about, have you researched Wiccan? Have you checked out, maybe you just need to worship the universe, because in the end, what I wholeheartedly believe is that we're all under the power of the same God, the same entity, regardless of what you want to call him, regardless of whether you think he's the universe or he's a guy, he's a cloud, regardless of who you think he is or what he is, we're all under his sights, whether he intervenes or whatever. Even if you're an atheist, it doesn't matter. He's still watching. Those who believe feel like he's watching. If you don't believe, he's still watching. I believe he's still watching. He still gives a shit. You still avoid trouble. You're still saved. I think that what really, really matters, and it's the core of every religion on the planet, except maybe terrorism, because I can call that a whole religion. I don't care if you follow Islam or you call yourself a Christian. Terrorism is terrorism, and it is not sanctioned by any religion. No religion sanctifies hate and violence. It's just not there. Now, people try to warp scriptures. Doesn't matter if it's the Bible or the Quran. They'll try to wrap things around, but that's what men do. And I'm not talking about just men. Women will warp shit around too. But mankind has his own purposes. And if he is a powerful person, if he has pull, then he can twist things around to his purpose. That's the problem with translations, is that it doesn't always make sense. I mean, you take like the Bible, you read certain Bibles and it's like, sir, pastor man, priest, what does this passage mean? And you can take the Bible and ask, and I've actually done this, Pentecostal preacher, Baptist preacher, Catholic, and did I say Pentecostal? Anyway, you can ask 4 different clergymen from different sects of Christianity, and they might give you separate answers to what that passage means. I'm not saying that they're all wrong, and if the message is good, it doesn't matter that they're all different. If it's the same message, be good, do no harm, treat others as you would be treated. The core of every religion is to help who you can, pray for who you can't, or in the case of an atheist who wouldn't pray, advocate for those you cannot help. Don't hurt anybody, and one of the things that I loved learning about the Muslim faith, and I'm not 100% sure whether it's in Christian faith or not, but if somebody's got a gun on a woman and you jump in between the gun and that woman and you get shot and you die, that is an honorable death because you died trying to save somebody. Even if you fail, like if he shoots you and then he shoots her, he goes ahead and still shoots her. You tried to save her. That is an honorable death. That is the most honorable death. That doesn't mean, oh, well, I'm going to strap on a vest and walk into a quickie mart and kill people because they might and because they're invaders in my country. No, that is not, because you don't know if those people are not aiming a gun at somebody, then you don't know that they're there to do harm. And so you are not jumping in between the harm that they're going to bring and the person they're going to bring it to. That is probably one of the biggest ways that they twist things, is by saying, we'll get them before they get us. And they'll quote scripture about getting people, and because it is in the Quran, getting people, and the infidel in at the time of the Quran was disbelievers, which mainly was either directed towards the godless or the polytheists, the ones that believed in many gods. Like they would pray to the sea, they would pray to this, they would pray to that, you know. So the Muslims would have had a problem with the Aztecs and the Native Americans too, but that was not the problem. And the Muslims took that step of going after the disbelievers at the time because the disbelievers were coming after them. But in all actuality, in how I believe, you just defend yourself. If somebody is coming at you with a gun, you've got the right to shoot them. If they're breaking into your house, you've got the right to shoot them. If they're trying to hurt your family, you've got the right to shoot them. And if you kill them, God's not going to fault you for that. But what gets me, I was telling my Christian friend that was trying to get me to convert back to Christianity. I mean, he kept telling me how, I'm just trying to save your soul. I'm like, hey, my God, who some call Allah, my God watches over everybody. And he judges them by deed, not by belief. He judges them by what they do on this earth rather than what book they choose to read. Children go to heaven because they're ignorant. They don't know any better. They haven't had a chance to believe anything, or to do any harm. All religions are about peace. At their core, it is about peace and love for all mankind. And I get tired of having to defend my religious choice to people who haven't taken the time to actually read the book that my religion is based from, when I've taken the time to read the book that their religion is based on, and I never go at them like they're wrong. I respect that they came to be who they are, to worship how they worship, to have faith in what they have faith in, to believe what they believe, because of the life that they have led. Life leads you to things. There's a purpose to it all. I don't think that one religion is better than another, because where you find what fits you, that's personal. That's just like finding a spouse. It's just like what drugs you need to control your depression. It's not one size fits all. It's not one thing works for everybody, unless you look at it in a cosmic fashion to say, okay, well, what does everybody have in common? What everybody has in common is don't kill people, don't hurt people, don't rape people, which is hurt, but sometimes you gotta feel like that has to be a separate thing to say, raping people is hurting people, because I don't think rapists realize that. So it's like they're all the same. And I would never try to convert somebody to my religion. If they're curious, I will introduce them to people. I will invite them to my house of worship. But I don't tell them, I don't volunteer it automatically say, "Oh, you got to come." No, if they say that they're Christian, if they say they're atheist, agnostic, I don't give a shit what they are. Unless they ask me about where I worship, I don't talk about it. Because my aunt, a very wise woman, said that when you walk with God, you don't have to talk about God. And that's the thing. She will quote scripture when you ask her specific things. She will say, the good book says, you know. But otherwise, in a normal conversation, and it's like everybody else needs to get that through their heads. We can be different religions and not talk about God. There's got to be more to your life than God. I mean, as far as like discussing God, He's always got to be. If you're a believer, He's always got to be with you in your actions and how you treat people. Those things, yes, but you don't have to talk about Him all the time and talk about how I'm such a believer. I have all this faith. Because to a lot of people, even to some Christians, that kind of shit gets old real quick when somebody's like, "Oh, praise Him. Oh, Lord merciful." I've met a lot of those. Um, but it's all just be who you are, but be good. And stop telling people what to believe and how they're going to burn in hell because they don't believe in what you believe in. That, "Oh, I'm so scared for your soul." Be scared for my soul if I'm out killing people or raping or doing bad things like killing dogs and shit. Be concerned for my soul if I'm doing that. But if I'm living a good life, don't worry about me. You just worry about you. And have a good night.